And why don't we kick it off? And actually, I want to go first because this is a tradition of mine now where I cheat a little bit. Uh, my number 10, I split it. And I'm going to let you take the lead on one part. So I had Dave, We're All Alone in This Together, split with, drum roll please, my guy, Heady One. Too loyal for my own good. And why I chose to have them both tied for 10. I originally had Dave here. I just kept thinking, like, was that really my favorite release from a UK rapper this year? And I was like, I think it was, but I think Heady One might have had higher moments for me, moments I liked more on his album,
Mm,
Too Loyal for My Own Good. And so I had to split them. I know that you have Dave a little bit higher up. Maybe we can save the conversation on Dave for a little bit.
okay.
But I just want to talk about Heady One real quick. So Heady One, obviously, I think blew up a couple years back, and as a grime rapper, has had a lot of respect. But what really stood out to me about Too Loyal for My Own Good was that he expanded his sound and did it so
Mm,
seamlessly,
yeah.
and just had some of the best bangers out of UK rap this year that I just really wanted to highlight. Beggars Can't Be Choosers.
Oh
If I
yeah.
didn't have him on this list, I would have had that song on my songs list for sure.
Shit goes.
Amazing, amazing. Two Chains, the
Mm,
follow up track on that album to that. Nothing to Me, just like the whole album. I was clicking through, just listening, and man, it's a really pleasurable listen. Such a variety of sound. It's cool to see Heady One, I think, as a rapper expanding and really coming into his own. So wanted to give Too Loyal for My Own Good a shout out here. Any thoughts on it?
yeah, I mean, Heady One, that was the best drill album of the year,
Yeah.
or mixtape, however was categorized. Yeah, and he's he's really great to invest in because, as you said, he's been at it a long time. He's got a lot of projects under the belt already. Did a lot of interesting things in 2020 as well. The Sampha joint comes to mind, but even when he sticks to the basics, like on Two Chains, that is some gloomy ash drill, man. Like you can't
Yep.
touch that shit. But man, the energy that he brings while still not sacrificing his gloominess, his unique delivery. He's just a really exciting talent. And I'm happy he's become such a big star in the UK. He's really blown up fast. Yeah, he's awesome.
So that was my number 10 split. Dave, give me your number 10.
Yeah, so we'll save Dave for later. My number 10 is Baby Keem, Kendrick Lamar's perhaps cousin. I don't know. We know that for a fact still. The Lewis Siney of PG Lang, Kendrick Lamar's upstart label slash production company slash thing. And we have Keem, dropping the debut album, The Melodic Blue, after getting a lot of acclaim and some virality with the past mixtapes, including the most recent one, Die for My Bitch, Orange Soda, became a hit. People were paying attention to Baby Keem. Seems like he had some industry support. And what was next was hotly anticipated, at least by people in the know. And what we got this fall with the Melodic Blue, by no means is a finished product, and that's why I don't have Keem any higher on my list because I don't think the album's perfect. But what it does showcase is the range and diversified talents of Mr. Baby Keem. He just has a lot of on the mic ability, a ton of different flows. I mean, he can make weird noises. Like he does all kinds of stuff, right? And sometimes you get moments of true brilliance from him. I like to like the solo tracks of his, which are obviously aren't quite as famous as the two collabs with Kendrick, but some of the solo tracks like Trademark USA or Vent are just these really crazy bangers where he's rapping and like the rhymes are tight, but the flow's like kind of loose, and you can tell he's really carefree, but it's still at a high level. And you have some slower stuff on here, which I'm not quite as into, like issues, for example. But along the way, you get the reintroduction of Kendrick Lamar, who's been away for such a long time. with
the
Range
morning, top of
Brothers
the morning.
Range Brothers and Family Ties. Family Ties, the verse for Kendrick, and Range Brothers, the meme. Top of the morning, let's get this shit. And Keem plays off Kendrick well, which is no small feat. So he's still a work in progress, but the work that's been done thus far is very exciting and fun. And I'm disappointed I didn't see him perform earlier this year. I missed that show. That would have been a lot of fun. So I'll definitely be catching the next one.
Yeah, I think this is definitely a worthy choice for a top 10. Keem is just oozing potential at this point, and obviously, I think getting the Kendrick support and co-sign makes him a really exciting person to watch. I don't think the album was perfect, like you said, but there's a lot to like there, and so I'm just excited for what's next. And if anyone wants to get in on the ground floor, now's the time. Stock's only going to go up from here. So,
to be fair, I feel like we're a few floors up at this point. Ground floor is past. That shit
okay.
full.
Maybe we're on like the 6th or 7th floor then. But moving on to my number 9. If you guys are looking on YouTube and you're like, who are these guys? Black Country New Road with For the First Time coming in number 9
either. When I saw them, I was like, it's a big group. It's probably them.
Yeah, you're like, is it Squid? Is that Black Midi? No, this is Black Country New Road dropping their debut album For the First Time. They actually just dropped 3 new tracks a couple weeks back, so I'm hoping that's leading up to something bigger.
It is. There's an album coming out early 2022, like a year to the day almost from the last one.
Yeah. So maybe it'll be for the second time. Who knows?
February 4th.
I gotta say, in the age of tracks being very tight, 2 minutes or shorter, 3 minutes or shorter, making it very tight. The way Black Country New Road weaves together post rock and post punk sound, mixing in like elements of jazz and horns, just kind of letting it feel like they're always on the edge of like chaos. You never really know where the music's going. And it just feels really exciting. And you match that with just like some bizarre lyrics. The one I wrote down here is that I am more than adequate. Leave Kanye out of it, Dave. I who knows what they're trying to say there, but
perhaps a dated line already.
Yeah, but it's just amazing because in going back and listening to this album, I was like, yeah, I remember really liking Sunglasses, and then I was like, oh yeah, I really liked Science Fair. Oh yeah, Athens, France was a banger too, and it was basically just like every track. I was like, this album rules. And that's the thing is, if you want to talk about getting in on the ground floor, I guess Keem, you're not getting in on the ground floor. But Black Country New Road feels like a band that you're pretty much getting in maybe first or second floor at this point. And they are just so exciting to see where this movement in the UK is going to be taking rock music in the future. It's just it's great to see because you sent me offline a meme or I guess like a commentary on Pitchfork's 31 best rock albums of the year, and you said, "Oh, they actually made that many this year," and it's a fair criticism because there weren't that many good rock releases this year. I mean, the big ones, the Foo Fighters, the Killers, Kings of Leon, all came and went, and have gotten very little acclaim at the end of the year. Not very memorable, no real hits from any of them, and it feels like
you forgot Coldplay.
Oh, I didn't forget Coldplay. I left them off. They're a pop band now intentionally. The best thing Coldplay did this year was work with BTS, so shout out to them. But it just feels like there might be some sort of revitalization or something exciting brewing there. And if you're not tuned into it and you like rock music, you have to be. So Black Country New Road's at the forefront for the first time. My number 9. Any thoughts, or do you want to just jump in right into yours?
Yeah, I'd just say that post-punk scene creating itself, oozing out of England with Black Midi, Squid, and Black Country New Road. There's something there worth paying attention to. That much is clear.
Absolutely. Dave, give me your number 9.
Yeah, so my number 9 is also from the UK, Little Simz. Sometimes I might be introvert.
My number 2.
Yeah. feel like I don't even have a whole lot new to say about Simz. She's just really capable on the mic and makes awesome production choices. In this case, the album was produced entirely by Inflow, just like her last album, Gray Area. And it continues that vibe we had in early 2019, where the music itself is like quite cinematic, but still has this like awesome message. Simz is quite introspective, quite personal, but also really matter of fact, really in your face. I think a song like Woman, a song like Introvert really stand out to me. Also a song like Introvert with the drums. Uh like the production really noticeable. And yeah, I mean she's just really talented and still doesn't get enough credit despite a lot of internet love. And yeah, she's great. I mean, why do you have her as your number two?
Yeah, I'm a real sucker for like I think the grandeur and the cinematic feel of the album, I think. But just the way that she blends together so many different sounds and it all sounds so cohesive and she sounds so confident on this. We really liked Gray Area and that obviously was I think a lot of people's first like, oh, Lil Sims, this can be something. And this feels just like such a level up, and it feels like her ceiling has been raised for me because for this being her second album, or second, I guess, like full length
Yeah, really her
album,
fourth, I think.
fourth, yeah. It just feels like Little Sims could be something really really memorable and I just love the variety on here. You made I think a good point. Introvert with those drums. Two Worlds Apart is so soulful and smooth and just like it's like butter in a lot of ways. Then you get a song like Point and Kill, which is like a little like Afro infusion into this. And um Rolling Stone, another standout to me that sounds cinematic but also a little funkier. Like it all works so well. It all blends together so well. Um, I just was super impressed by this, and it's been one of the albums I found myself going back to the most this year. So uh, can't say enough about Sims. I'm really excited to see where her career takes her. A worthy choice for both lists. Um, Anything you want to say with about that, or do you feel like we covered it?
She's great. She's great.
Yeah, absolutely. Also, I really like the aesthetic of her on this. I forgot to change the picture on my end, but she went with a lot of these like stark contrasts and like bright colors with her in the foreground. Just a really good look for her on that. While we move on, though, I'm gonna jump into my number 8, which is An Evening with Silk Sonic. Our guys Anderson Paak and Bruno Mars coming together to create Silk Sonic, this real soul R&B throwback
Yeah.
that
1970s.
yeah, just pure it really was just like a purely fun and enjoyable listen. I mean, we haven't gotten a lot of Bruno Mars since 24 Karat Magic, so
Yeah.
getting him back in our lives obviously very exciting, but just the way that they blend together, their voices, their sounds, their inspiration for this. I think it probably had like 3 or 4 of my favorite songs of the year on this album, and it's
Mm.
only like a real like eight track album or 9 track album, so it's not long and just a awesome listen. Um, what stood out to you? It was on your list as well, right?
Yeah, this is my number 5. It's just amazing homage at the end of the day. And in a sense, Bruno and especially Anderson, perhaps punching a little below their weight, like they can make more detailed music. They've done it before and they'll do it again. Anderson in particular, we know how much range he has vocally. Doesn't really get to do it too much on this album, but that's kind of the point. Is they're trying to fit in a mold, this throwback '70s soul, and they just do it so well that you really can't be mad or disappointed in any way. It's just really good, and I mean the singles obviously rapturously received. There's really no bad song on this, which is awesome because it's so short and sweet and leaves you wanting more, but still kind of leaves you with a good amount of songs. And I think my favorite of the new non-singles is After Last Night,
Yeah.
Thundercat, Bootsy Collins. That shit's great. One of the
Mhm.
better uses of Anderson's talents. Yeah, but overall, the whole package is just a lot of fun, and hopefully we get Bruno's next proper album in short order.
Absolutely. I completely agree with everything you said. After Last Night would have been on my top songs if it wasn't on, if I didn't put them on my album list. So definitely check out An Evening with Silk Sonic. Dave, what was next up for you?
Number 8 for me is Adele, 30.
My number 4.
Yeah, I mean, what more is there to say? It's Adele.
Yeah, Dave, why is Adele good?
Honestly, though, when we finally got to hear 30, after Easy on Me comes out, first Adele song in what, 5+ years. And you're like, oh wow, yeah, that's another Adele song. It's really great and became a huge hit for her. Then you get the album and you're like, okay, like what do I really expect from this? And it kind of subverts your expectations because Adele doesn't do a lot of, Hello from the Other Side's big booming ballads the way she had done in the past with some of her biggest hits. But it's no less catchy, no less meaningful lyrically. But it's like a slight tweak of her sound. I was really impressed with it. Um, and like I drink wine comes to mind lyrically, but I'm just a huge sucker for Can I Get It, produced by Max Martin, just because that is a catchy ass pop track from Adele, and really I think shows just the taste of other lanes she could go down because of how talented she is vocally. That's a song where it's not even challenging her that much vocally, but the production is so catchy, and you have those background vocals spurred in on those choruses and stuff. It's just the total home run. But the whole album really is, uh, you know, I don't really know how you can poke any holes in it.
Yeah, I agree I think you summarized well why it's my number 4. I was just at first I was a little disappointed hearing it, right? Because you didn't have you had Easy on Me, which I think is very much in the old school Adele, just like total power ballad lane. But after that, you didn't really get another one of those, like you said. And it was like, man, I really wanted to hear more of those. I wanted her voice just to totally overpower me. But the more I've sat with it, just so impressed with the way she crafted this album and told a story that was so well thought out, of loss, of dealing with a relationship ending, of how she talks to her daughter about this, how she copes with it. Um, but the album never really feeling too heavy, and then moving into a more triumphant and peaceful area by the end of the album. Um, a song like My Little Love, just totally gutting. Something that, you said, and you actually hear her talking about like the pain she feels in talking to her child about, where the dad is in the situation or why they're not together. And then you get to something like I Drink Wine, which starts to kind of pick the album back up more. And by the end, there's still some sad notes, but it brings you back around. It feels like she finds some peace throughout the album. And just like you said, hearing her build out her sound, trying some different lanes, but still making something that's this impressive is just why she's Adele. Like she's just like the biggest artist in the world for a reason. So uh awesome album. Really enjoyed it. My number 4, your number 8, I
Yep.
believe. So why don't we jump then to my number 7, which is Japanese Breakfast Jubilee. An album that I was not really uh wasn't really anticipating too much. Japanese Breakfast third album, their first two, or her first two, Michelle Zauner's first two, I should say, was a bit more like sullen, exploring like grief and loss, and well, it just I had never really clicked with her music, and now she took a few years off, comes back with Jubilee, and I was just totally blown away by for lack of a better term, like the vibes of this album. And this was intentional from Michelle Zauner in an interview talking about how she wanted to explore the feelings of joy and like intense joy, and trying to uh, take her music to a different place, and that really comes across throughout this album. I think this is probably my second favorite like indie rock album of the year. We're gonna get to my first later on, but man, songs like "Be Sweet" or "Slide Tackle," um, "Sit," "Savage Good Boy," like all of these were just like so textured, so layered. You really felt like you were just in like this Technicolor world listening to it, and her lyricism on it is so catchy, but still like really straightforward and striking a lot of the time. And um, just was one of the best surprises of the year for me. Um, Again, going back to like I didn't want to overlap the two lists too much, but Slide Tackle was probably my favorite track off it, and definitely would have made my top 10 list. So my number seven, I don't think it made your list, right? Nope.
It did not, but it was good. I liked it.
Why don't we jump to your number seven then?
Yeah, my number 7 is Churches Screen Violence.
Nice.
Their fourth album? Fourth album. Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah, their first album in a few years, but really felt like a fourth album. It really felt like a return to form, a return to what makes Churches churches. And I think in the process is actually their best album to date in terms of just really great synth pop. Lauren Mayberry, really expressive vocalist, no matter what she's doing. But the rest of the band, Ian Cook, Martin Doherty, they arranged basically this whole album themselves. So just like a really insular album, course correction after them, making the Marshmallow song. And yeah, I just think there's a lot of fucking great songs on this. Like He Said, She Said, Final Girl. I think thematically, Lauren always seems to get into, what it's like to be a female pop artist, what it's like to be a woman online. Some familiar themes, but I think they get into it in like really meaningful ways. They don't come across as preachy or anything, and it's still really fun synth pop at the end of the day. So yeah, shout out Churches, really really coming back with this one.
Yeah, great comeback. I love how they basically made this concept album and just like found their stride with it. Really, really cool story. It was one of my honorable mentions, actually, my number one honorable mention. So I'm glad that you had it on your list. Um, okay, moving forward, I don't know if I saw that if you had this one or not, but Brockhampton's Roadrunner New Light was my number 6.
Yeah, this is my number 4.
Look at that. We're almost in simpatico there.
We did not plan this either.
No, we did not. You know, uh, we've talked a lot about Brockhampton this year, not only reviewing Roadrunner New Light, but also doing our rankings of Brockhampton. So go back and check that out. YouTube.com/nostalgiapod. Roadrunner New Light, New Machine.
Yeah.
In re-listening and just kind of thinking about it a little bit more, and I think this is an observation we made at the time, just feels like them finding a way to bring some of the weirdness of saturation with some of the more like conventional pop sound of was it what is it, San Andreas or whatever the album was
Ginger.
before?
You're thinking of
Ginger.
San Marcos, the song.
San Marcos, the song, yeah, the song off it that I liked, the one song off it I liked. But I think it's just like I didn't know what to expect. Obviously Brockhampton also is saying that they have one more album left after this one. This is 2nd to last, and it's like, what are we really going to get out of them at this point? It's been a bit up and down more recently, not quite to the level of the 3 saturations, and the weirdness this gets starting right off the rip with Danny Brown going right in, on Buzzcut, going to Chain On with JPEG Mafia. We get like a rock sounding ballad with The Light in the middle. We get Don't Shoot Up the Party, like a G-Funk song. Like it was all over the place in the best way. And it just felt like, okay, Brockhampton's recaptured some of that magic. So just a true pleasure to listen to an album I've ran back a few times. So definitely deserving of any top 10. Why'd you have it at number 4?
Yeah, so I think you kind of touched on it there. They got back to the energy and the raps of the Saturation trilogy while not leaving behind the moodiness, the sadness that has followed them more recently with Iridescence and Ginger. They are just different guys than they were in 2017. That much is obvious. But I think creatively, Roadrunner is a return to form because it's a return to ultimately what their most successful music is. And as a fan, longtime fan now, that's just really great. You know, you mentioned Don't Shoot Up the Party, a G Funk track, Ramil spazzing on that one. But in the process, you know, you got Kevin rapping again, and he rapping about some substance. It's great to hear that because I think that remains his strength is when he's rapping. But lyrically, you know, I mean, Joba talking about the death of his father on the light, you know, that shit really hits you. You know, like they don't pull any punches on this album, but you know, you still have a lot of fun tracks with like, you know, Count on Me. And as you mentioned, Buzzcow Brown and Chebeg Mafia is great on Chain On. Awesome and hear A$AP Rocky on this.
Yep.
Was really pleased with this when it came out back in April because it's like, it just felt like something clicked again with them. They were a little aimless, you know, as they found fame and fortune and everything happened with Amir. And this just felt like a place back in the right direction, even if obviously they've evolved and changed along the way. They're not leaving that behind, but it's kind of like the culmination of everything to this point. I think it's really special. And obviously, as you said, don't really know what to expect from that second album or the Kevin solo album that seems to be in progress as well, but eagerly anticipating both.
Hell yeah. Dave, you're number 6.
My number 6, which I'm pretty sure is on your list, would be Snail Mail's Valentine, her
Yep.
Lindsey
My number
Jordan's second
3.
album.
Absolutely. Great choice. Dave, why is it your number 6?
So, anyone who listens to the pod regularly, especially when we talk about rock music, knows that indie rock is not usually my bag. So, if an indie rock album is making my top 10 albums of a given year, it
It's
must be
fucking
pretty
good.
good.
Yeah.
And yeah,
Absolutely.
I think she's just kind of a badass. You know, she really rocks out on some songs like Ben Franklin. Like early on, those first few tracks on Valentine really go. You know, I think she's emotional, but she still goes hard. It's great.
Yeah. Yeah. I was just totally blown away. I mean, we knew Snail Mail ruled tracks like Pristine, Heat Wave, you know, from her first album Lush, really gave the sense that Lindsay Jordan was something special. But the completeness of Valentine and the completeness of in a sense of her not only making good songs, but songs that kept your attention and didn't feel samey throughout, and that explored her song crafting ability. Just amazing to hear. You know, you mentioned the early on, the Valentine, Ben Franklin 1-2 punch at the beginning, I think is the obvious highlight. But even songs like Forever Sailing, I love the percussion in that, and her lyricism is amazing. That followed up by Madonna, which is another track I really liked. I think this is a no skips for the most, pretty much. And I guess I didn't really love See at All. Maybe that's the one I would skip if I had to, but the rest of it is just fantastic, and I'm just really excited to see everything that's to come. It also feels like she might have leveled up to like that Phoebe Bridger territory, which is like kind of not what I expected. I thought maybe Soccer Mommy would have gotten up to that level for us, but no, it feels like Lindsay Jordan might be coming for the throne. So, really good shit from her. Snail Mail, Valentine, my number 3, your number 6, and Dave. That brings us to another female who was excellent this year, Olivia Rodrigo with Sour, my number 5 this year. I think when I look at this, or when I listened back to this, I liked the whole album more than I did initially. Still not a perfect album, but the highs of this album are just like unbelievably high. I mean, you could take Driver's License, Deja Vu, or Good for You and put them in, in your top 10 anywhere, and no one would be able to argue with you. Those songs dominated the year. Olivia Rodrigo is the fastest rising star in music. She's going to dominate the Grammys in a few months, and Sour is going to be the album that put her on the map. And it's just like super exciting that so like I was comparing her to Lil Nas X a little bit, right? Because Nas X's album, I think, was very similar in that it had more songs that like were high, but more songs that had lower lows. And I think Olivia Rodrigo's album had a higher floor and just as equally a high ceiling. And I'm really excited to see where she goes next because she just feels like she's like in line to be the next Taylor Swift, basically, like in that lane. It's pretty amazing. So Sour, my number 5.
Yeah, it's kind of wild to see someone just roll right up alongside Billie Eilish as the star of today
Right.
and the next 15 years too. It just came out of completely nowhere. And no, I will not listen to anyone who's like, oh no, she's on the High School Musical Disney show. No, that doesn't mean shit. She was on a Disney show, so what?
No one's watching that.
I mean, it might be decently popular, but like she just became a complete megastar in like 4 months span. Went from Driver's License to when Sour comes out. It's just crazy. The album, I didn't put the album on my list. I do have one of her songs coming up on the songs list, so stay tuned for that. YouTube.com/Nowstalgia pod. And I mean, she's the story of the year without question. And I mean, like she became a megastar before she had like even like performed any music. It's crazy. But I also think it's quite earned. That album. I don't think it's a perfect album, but the breakup songs, the emotional ballads mixed with some obvious 2000s inspired pop punk era songs, it's a good mix. And she definitely is in that Taylor mold from a songwriting perspective.
Yep.
So it's hard not to be super invested in what's to come.
Yeah, we're definitely Rodrigo's for sure. Shout out Kai.
Livy's is a weak fandom name. Rodrigo's is way better.
Way better. Yeah, songs like Traitor and Happier aren't as showy as the top 3 off the album, but definitely I think strong ones. She did a Tiny Desk concert that came out the other day.
Yes, recently, yes.
You watched that?
I had to watch some of it, yeah.
I was just blown away by the fact that she's what, like 20 maybe?
She's 18.
She's 18. Yeah. Insane. And she could very much
my teenage dream.
She could very much just play these songs exactly the way that they sound on the album and not like push the artistry of it. And she totally stripped down those songs and changed the way that some of them sound and added new meaning to them. And I was just like, she's doing this at 18? Like, it's just something that you don't see all the time. So you're right. The story of the year, pushing Billie Eilish to be that next like generational talent, just super exciting. So Sour, my number 5. Dave, what was next up for you?
So next up for me is my number 3, which would be Doja Cat's third album, Planet Her. Not dissimilar from Olivia, just taken longer, but Doja Cat is a full-fledged pop force. And it was a little bit unexpected, given her humble beginnings. Bitch, I'm a cow moo, let's not forget. But we realize she's a competent rapper the past 2 albums. That much is clear. She's had some hits already. But with Planet Her, is like complete distillation of, yeah, she's still a really good rapper, but she's also a pop singer.
Yeah.
And I think the arrangements on the album are really impressive, but just they really fit how Doja, can glide on those songs. Whether it's something, more slower, like Need to Know, or obviously Kiss Me More, which is just a banger pop song. Or, you have more, upbeat songs like Get Into It, Yeah, I Don't Do Drugs at Ari. Like, I think there's just enough like like range on the album to suit Doja Cat's clearly multi-layered talent. And she really just continues to impress me because she's a bit of a messy character online, bit controversial at times, but the music is there. Like the music is just consistently there. And I want to shout out "Been Like This," which is was not a single, not the showiest song, but like the production on that, the way she glides on like a slower, silkier song like that, she's just really great.
Yeah. No, she's absolutely blown me away. I think I thought she was going to be the type of artist who puts out an album and there's like one or two songs that just like completely pop and the rest of it is totally forgotten. But Planet Her was so much more than I expected out of an album from her, and just to see her rise in the star like this is super cool. Um, yeah, I really liked her a lot more after seeing her on the TV show Dave this season. She's in
Mm.
an episode and where he's trying to like hook up with her through like a dating app, and she just comes across super endearing and like likable. So
Mm.
definitely messy online sometimes. Don't agree with all of her perspectives, but uh, it she's awesome. So uh, we should move forward to Dave. Uh, Dave's we're alone in this together because we said we would come back to it. I didn't want to step on your number two album of the year.
That's right.
Tell me
Yeah,
why.
man. Santan Dave following up Psychodrama from 2019. No small feat. NBD Brit Award Album of the Year, Mercury Prize, first British album to accomplish both those feats since the first Arctic Monkeys album. It's been a minute, but they've earned all that praise and now had to follow that up somehow. And he did. He really nailed it because we're all knowing this together. You still have the cultural observations of what it's like to be a black man in Britain today. You have overt political references, even on a song like Clash, which is the fun, flexing rap banger with Stormzy. And yet Dave still sneaks in Tory put in labor, this, that Jeremy Corbyn one. You know, Everywhere you look with Dave, the lyrics are snuck in there. You know, In the Fire, just a legendary UK posse cut with Gets, Gigs, Meeks, and Fredo alongside this church choir sample. Really simple, but just so fucking awesome. I love Verdansk, reference to
Yeah.
Call of Duty Warzone. I just, and then of course, he gets super lyrical about his family, the immigrant experience that he's learned firsthand from his parents towards the end of the album on songs like Hardtack and Survivor's Guilt. His brother's also in jail for a long period of time. Like, there's so much layered into all his lyrics, but he still has fun tracks, again, like Clash, that, you know, getting all that acclaim for the song Black back on Psychodrama was not a one off. Dave is just really that high minded and that lyrical and at the forefront of that when it comes to UK artists. So it was just a total triumph of an album.
Yeah, I think you summarized it well. I don't really have too much to add beyond just his lyricism, his thoughtfulness. Talking about topics of mental health and loneliness, like you mentioned, what it's like to be a black man in the UK. His experiences just totally blew me away, and I think I was probably most blown away with it. Like so many rap albums nowadays are so overly produced and there's so many sounds, and this is an album that I think really stands out because of the choice to not make this super produced. There's a lot of like just sitting with like one beat, or even times when like the music drops out, in that song Clash with Stormzy, when Stormzy comes in, it's just silent for like a few seconds, then he just comes in. It really works for the vibe of the album, and to just be carried by his lyricism and rapping and vision is really impressive. So
Yeah.
a great choice for number two, I'd say.
Yeah, and there's one last thing on that. Like, he has so much to say and has such a way of saying it that you don't mind that some of those songs are 8 minutes long
Yeah,
because he like
right.
earns every second of that.
Absolutely. Well, Dave, That brings us to our shared number one. I don't think this is a surprise for either one of us, but Call Me If You Get Lost. Tyler, the Creator. He's rapping again, dude. It's great, isn't it?
Fuck yeah, dude. And Tyler somehow found a way to evolve right before our eyes once again. This dude releases music every other year since 2009, and yet he continues to impress and defy expectation. Call Me If You Get Lost. Tyler rapping like he's never rapped before. Obviously, a big turn from Igor, which was much later on the raps, obviously, and yet still won him some Grammys. And now he returns with a Gangsta Girls mixtape sponsored by DJ Drama, as one Gangsta Girls mixtape would be. And he still has some of his most personal lyrics to date, some of his most fun features to date. It just a total revelation. And I mean, I remember when this came out, and I just started listening to this. I was in the car in traffic, and I remember just bumping these songs, listening to Corso, listening to the early joints. And I'm like, oh my god, he's back, man! It's incredible.
Yeah, I was trying to like summarize like why this album I think is so great, and I feel like every person I talk to, every like thing I read about it that was like, what's your favorite track from the album? Everybody had a different track. And I think that's the thing is that pretty much every single track on this is a great song. Like you mentioned like Corso as an early highlight. That goes right into Lemonhead, which is absolute fire and just like triumphant shit. Going into What's Your Name, which is just smooth Tyler bullshit the whole time.
Yeah.
And it's
With
fucking
Young Boy
so
of all
fun.
guests, he has NBA Young Boy on this.
And dude, that goes right into Lumberjack, which is probably like the most played song from this album because it was a single. And that's not even getting into the second half of the album with songs like Rise, which is probably my favorite one. That's a total like nerd tribute, it feels like, in a lot of ways. I really like Juggernaut. I mean, it's just like super impressive. And to not only like make an album that sounds this good, but to have a track like Sweet, I thought you wanted to dance, which is just like Tyler really going off and telling a story and like showing his rapping ability, but in more than just like a goofy way or like a bombastic way, but a true storytelling way. Just really impressive. He does everything on this album. He produced the album. Sounds fantastic. He's in my mind, he's elevated to that top tier along with people like Kendrick as like the real visionaries within the rap space. So
Yeah,
just amazing.
yeah. I mean, the Kanye lineage is strong with this, right? Getting all kinds of inspired guests on this, but they never once usurp Tyler on any of these joints, right? You got a Young Boy song. The Young Boy heads love What's Your Name.
Yep.
I'm a huge fan of Lemonhead, getting 42 Doug coming in halfway through all distorted and stuff, right? I love that we got Pharrell Williams rapping on this. That is not a common thing.
Yep.
You got a odd feature reunion on Manifesto with Damo Genesis, but the biggest part about Manifesto is Tyler's revelations about his thoughts about his own past controversy and really grappling with that in his music for the first time. Alongside that, you have songs like Massa, where he talks about struggles his mom was going through when he was first becoming famous. He talks about his unique view of being a public-facing black man in today's climate. In a way Tyler could really speak to it. I feel like new alter ego from Tyler, Mr. Baudelaire. I love it. Put it right alongside Igor and Flower Boy.
Totally.
He's just such a multifaceted artist. And yeah, we know the influences. We know the Kanye and Pharrell influences are strong, but at this point, he's long since established himself as his own man, his own singular artist. And it was awesome to see like a lot of his peers really hyping this up when it came out. Pusha T was like, "That's the album of the year" right away. Like he has the respect at this point.
100%. Dave, give me a quick rundown, 10 to 1 of your list. I'll do mine, and then we'll do some honorable mentions.
Yeah, so number 10, Baby Keem, Melodic Blue. Number 9, Little Simz. Sometimes I might be Introvert. Number 8, Adele, 30. Number 7, Church's Screen Violence. Number 6, Snail Mail, Valentine. Number 5, Silk Sonic and Evening Silk Sonic. Number 4, Brockhampton, Roadrunner, New Lightning Machine. Number 3, Doja Cat, Planet Her. Number 2, Dave, We're All Alone in This Together. Number 1, Tyler, the Creator, Call Me If You Get Lost.
My number 10 was a split of Dave, We're Alone in This Together, and Hetty 1, Too Loyal for My Own Good. Number 9, Black Country, New Road for the First Time. Number 8, Silk Sonic, An Evening with Silk Sonic. 7, Japanese Breakfast Jubilee. 6, Brockhampton, Roadrunner, New Light, New Machine. 5, Olivia Rodrigo, Sour. 4, Adele, 30. 3, Snail Mail, Valentine. 2, Little Simz, Sometimes I Might Be Introvert. And number 1, Tyler, the Creator, Call Me If You Get Lost. Honorable mentions, Dave. Anything you want to shout out?
Yeah, I got a few honorable mentions. Again, and you did basically the same as well. Tried not to repeat myself with songs and album lists. So there's some people coming up on the songs list that I also like the albums quite a bit. And I'd say one of those people would probably be Halsey. Really impressing, working with Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross and making honestly a honest to goodness rock album in, I think, a real genuine way, a real effective way. Also shout out Polo G. I really liked The Goat. And, you know, I didn't love the album, but I thought Vince Staples' self-titled album from this summer still was pretty admirable and still had a lot of those lyrical traits and ticks that we all like about Vince, even if production-wise, you know, it wasn't as flashy as, say, FM or Big Fish's Theory.
Yeah, I also had Vince Staples' self-titled album on my honorable mention. I had Porter Robinson's Nurture on my honorable mention. I thought it just really captured the feeling of the year and just like where
Stay
we're
tuned for that.
Looking forward to it. The War on Drugs, I Don't Live Here Anymore. Probably the best like pure rock album of the year, for whatever that's worth. Slow Thigh, I should say, Tyron. Was up there for me. And then
good year for the Brits, man.
For real. And then Tinashe 333 was also up there, but I think we'll be talking about her very soon. So that's going to do it for us for albums. Stay tuned for our top 10 songs of the year list. And again, give us that follow, soundcloud.com/nostalgiapod or youtube.com/nostalgiapod.
You want to hit some disappointing albums real quick?
Yeah, actually, good call. Go for it, Dave.
I have 3 disappointing albums of 2021, and one, of course, rises to the top, and I'm sure you share this, and that would be Lord's third album, Solar Power, which I'm on record on this podcast saying there's no way it's going to be bad. And maybe I jinxed it, because Solar Power was a huge letdown. I mean, I like the song The Path, but other than that, it does not hit the same. That one really bothers me.
Yeah, that was definitely one that was disappointing for me. I do have to say I did like the song Solar Power. I thought it started off kind of strong. The Path also a good song, but then it just really get lost itself. I think obviously Drake's album just whatever we expected of it, it definitely was below those expectations.
Right. Yeah, I don't have it quite on this tier just because I didn't have as high expectations for CLB, but I agree, definitely a disappointment. I also will throw Little Nas X Montero on there, whereas I think Montero had some great highs, like Industry Baby, and also Call Me by Your Name, but overall, I just felt Nas X seemed to waste a lot of time doing things he's not particularly adept at on Montero, and he remains very much a work in progress, and that album is a clear example of that.
For me, John Mayer's Sabrock, a huge disappointment, just because it was bad. Like the album just is bad. So it worked for like 2 seconds, two tracks, and it just completely became redundant. So that was a big letdown.
Also, I mean, a lot of lists online would disagree with this one, but I gotta say the Billie Eilish sophomore album, "Happier Than Ever," overall as a record, did leave me a bit wanting. There's some moments I liked. Perhaps I'll be talking about one of those in a second. But I think overall, as an album, I appreciate lyrically what she was getting at. You know, as her circumstances, as her celebrity, has tremendously changed her worldview on things. How could it not? I totally sympathize with that. But I think musically, I just wasn't as interested in what her and Phineas were, cooking up, especially on the production side of things. Like, there's just by design less hits on this album.
Yeah, I agree. It was also on my disappointment list, and it just didn't reach the same highs. Maybe that's not a fair thing to put it up against the first album, obviously. Just my last one here. Well, actually, I just want as a bit of a troll. The Zayn album, huge disappointment, but just for all the Zayn haters, so that they can
We got a
tune in
lot of
here.
dislikes on that already. Keep them coming.
But her, back of my mind
Ugh.
for an artist that has been tapped by the Grammys as like the next like savior of like, or I guess like next great R&B rock
Piano rock.
blending artist. Yeah. That album was just the hot trash, not interesting and super boring.
Yep.
So, big disappointment there. Any others you want to shout out?
Yeah, just lastly, the two Lana albums, I won't call them like disappointments, but they just don't hold a candle to Norman fucking Rockwell, which I love so much. So
Yeah, that's a good one.
slightly disappointing. And Donda as well. Not that I had high expectations for it either, but I was disappointed in Kanye's lack of curation and his inability to trim a track list because that's something he used to care about so much. And that let me down.
That's going to do it for us for best albums and most disappointing of 2021. Stay tuned for our top 10 songs, best songs of the year.